Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Flying High on Consciousness podcast. This is Jill Alana from Jai Incorporated. Jai meaning victory, which is one of the main intentions of this podcast is to help you become the victor of your life. I help you leverage the quantum and code you to become an energetic match to your manifestations so that they manifest as a byproduct of your frequency. With my online programs, energy healing trainings, in-person retreats, and private intention coding sessions, I facilitate liberation work, also known as trauma healing, to allow beautiful souls to have the tools to build their dream life. By combining 13 deep integrative healing modalities, I have developed a unique trauma transmutation formula in which I use to unlock the energetic shackles that had been holding you back. Then I use activations to code you to the frequency of your intentions. Through this formula, I have helped hundreds, soon to be thousands of people manifest their dream relationship, next level wealth, dream job, dream apartment, perfect health, and a life beyond what they could have imagined. The intention of this podcast is to start to demystify the quantum, to share stories for inspiration, to prove what's possible when you do this work, to bridge the gap between science and spirituality, and to give you golden nuggets on manifestation that you can start to integrate and implement into your life. And of course, as I said, to help you become the victor of your life and really create your dreams with these tools and inspiring stories. Without further ado, let's go to the show. Bringing Dr. James on to talk about the neuroscience of manifestation.
Oh, hi.
Yay, it worked!
There we go.
Finally, how are you?
So good. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you so much.
I'm happy to talk to you.
So good to talk to you too. Okay, so we met at a Dr. Joe retreat a few times in a row. It was like very synchronistic.
I remember the first time I set my stuff down in this empty row of seats and went up to dance. And then 20 minutes later, I came back and there were people on this side of me and you were sitting right on this side of me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, wait, universe, thank you.
Were we dancing together first? I can't remember.
Probably.
I think we were. And then my friends who I went to the reception with, I don't know where they went. So I was just dancing. And then that was the only seat. And I'm like, yes, it's front row. So awesome. And then we connected and had some really great chats. And then we were both looking for a room in this hotel.
5,000 rooms, and we happened to be lost on the same floor, the same place at the same time. Okay,
Three times running, and we're like, "Have you found your room?" Nope. Have you? It was literally a maze, guys.
It was a square. We were just going in circles.
Yeah, and then we connected.
As we often do in life.
Yes, and why? Let's talk about why. So, by the way,
circles. Go.
Yeah, why we go in circles and get stuck in patterns. Dr. James literally just finished. You finished Dr. Joe Dispenza's corporate training. Is that correct?
We signed the license agreement today. Matter of fact, I did that about 2 hours ago. Yeah,
freaking amazing. Okay, I want to talk about that too, because I'm such a geek of all the neuroscience stuff from him and everybody else, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, and then bridging that with all the spiritual woo that I do. But it is science, guys. So let's get into it. Why? I'd love for you to answer this question from all your training and perspective and experience. Why we get stuck in loops? Why do we relive the same traumas? Why do people get stuck in toxic relationships over and over and over again and realize that they manifested the same relationship in a different form, usually the form of one of their parents, that shows up in their partner, or
habits that aren't serving them, and they know, or they leave a job to get another job, but they run into the same issues at that other job. Like, why do these patterns happen? Can you explain from a scientific perspective with their neural pathways, so that people understand that the science behind it?
Great question. Yes. No matter if we leave that job or we leave that relationship, we get in a new one, and it's what? It's the exact same thing, right? Because we take ourselves with us. And what's going on in the brain is that you get up in the morning, you're on autopilot, right? You just go.
Yeah.
You go make some tea, you go to the shower, you go get ready, and you are on your way without even thinking too much about it. Most people are on autopilot. So there's not much new that's happening in the brain. You know, the human mind thinks 60 to 70,000 thoughts every day, Jill. And 90% of those are the exact same as the day before. So that's why we're on physical patterns in the brain, is because we're having that many thoughts every day. Each one of those 60 to 70,000 thoughts is synapses, neurons firing in the brain. And every time we do it, it hardwires it deeper and deeper and deeper. So that connection just gets stronger. And the more that we let that pattern play out, the deeper it physically becomes in the brain. It's
100%.
not just like what's going on in the mind. The mind affects physical brain and body.
100%, which creates, it's like our beliefs create our emotions, which create our thoughts, which create our choices, and then our actions, and then our reality, which is how the beliefs create the reality. So if we're not changing the beliefs or the thought patterns and the energy body, it's just like you said, we're running on autopilot, which is why we need to get into the subconscious and unconscious mind to shift anything in our life. And like when I try to explain this to people, I'm like, it's not your business, it's not your relationship, it's not like all of these other things you need to shift. It's you that you need to shift. And they're like, what? I'm like, it's literal science. Because, and I would love to, nothing against therapy, but I would love to talk about why it's often, not always, often, in my experience, talk therapy actually will make the issue worse. And like the neuroscience behind that, which is what you literally just explained. But it's like, if we're reliving the same situation, the same patterns over and over again, and like you said, strengthening those neural pathways, the only way to get out of those loops is to prune the synaptic connections and make new ones, which has to be done through the subconscious mind, because our conscious mind is like trying to protect us, and our ego is trying to protect us. And when we talk about like how bad our life is, or like this problem, we usually bring up the emotions associated with that issue and that pattern and that trauma. Therefore, as you said, we are strengthening our connection and the pattern of the issue, instead of pruning it, cutting it, and forming new ones.
And we're not even remembering the past event. Half of our memory is made up anyway.
We write, exactly. Something happens, we feel something.
Exactly the same event. Every time we're recalling it, we're changing it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like something happens, we feel it, then we make up the story of what, in our experience, that means about us, and then our belief associated with it. And then it's like that's ingrained into us. And a lot of this happens like between 0 to 7 is when a lot of the major programming happens, and then intense events throughout a life. But you're absolutely right. Like half the time it's like, say we go through like the day we met and we were dancing or whatever, and then Dr. Joe was talking, and then we ran into each other because neither of us can find our room. Like, it was the same experience, or the same events, but we obviously have different paradigms. We're looking through a different lens. We experienced it differently. And that's how it works. And we have
how it works.
Yeah, the power to rewrite it. Anyways, I would love to know, like, if you're comfortable sharing, was the time that you experienced, or it came to your awareness, oh wow, I'm reliving out this pattern, this belief, this type of relationship, and then you were able to shift it using the tools, and then your life shifted?
Boom, what a question. In the kitchen with my child on a daily basis. I swear to you, every time that he does something that even slightly annoys me or like
Yeah.
triggers me, like who the heck did he learn that from? Oh man, that's what I do, isn't it? Oh shoot. Yep. So it's a great mirror to have that right there in front of me. And then also writing it down, looking over these beliefs, these feelings, these emotions. This is what it says to do in breaking the habit of being yourself.
Yes.
Right? And Dr. Joe is very specific. Write it down so that you become so familiar with these old states of being that when thoughts come up, you don't have to identify with them. And then you can
Yeah.
actually start to counsel your past self from the version of your new self. As
Yeah.
that thought's coming through, you can be like, well, you know what, current self, you don't have to believe that, because what about this other option or this thing over here?
Yes. And it's like we can zoom out from like our tunnel vision of this or this. Well, what if you could have both? And
Zoom out.
like infinite
That's so good.
possibilities.
Zoom out. The more we can zoom out, the more we can notice, the more we can become aware of what's going on inside of us and around us. And that's how we can just become awake from this unconscious programming. Now, you mentioned
Exactly.
specifically getting into the subconscious programming.
Yeah.
And I know you know very well about the brainwave patterns, getting
Yeah.
from beta, which is where we're at now, the analytical mind thinking, down into alpha or theta if we're lucky. But what are some tools that you use, Jill, to get from beta down into alpha so that you can make those
A few
changes?
tools. Definitely meditation for myself. I've been practicing for years now. So it's like it's a lot easier for me to tap in. When I first started, it took like an hour, and now it would take a few minutes. Breath work is even more potent, like doing the Kundalini breath. It takes me seconds if I go like full force. And then in ceremonies like that I'm running with clients, either one-on-one or in group settings, breath work is super powerful because it's for people, especially who aren't meditating for at least an hour every day. It's the most potent way, in my experience, to get them into the unconscious and subconscious minds. And then if it's one-on-one, I can use hypnosis from there to help them reprogram whatever they're trying to shift, whether it's an addiction, a bad habit, a toxic relationship, if there's inner child work that needs to be done to send that child from a trauma, love, or protection. Therefore, they can bring that into their life and shift their life. Yeah, there's a lot of ways. Tapping sometimes, but I really find like the meditation and the energy work, as you know, or actually, I don't know if all of you guys know, we're both Reiki practitioners, both Reiki teachers. And Dr. James, it just released a Reiki course with a freaking amazing value. So get it before that ends. If you want to do it online, it's level 1. Reiki changed my life. It was the very beginning of this healing journey, healing work. And I use it every day. I use it in all my sessions.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to
everything
learn,
of your life with Reiki. It's not just
literally, like people are like, oh,
Why not?
you're a Reiki practitioner. I'm like, well, I'm trained in Reiki, and I don't call myself that anymore because I call myself a facilitator because I've studied so many modalities and I use whatever needs to be used. And I use Reiki every single day and in every single session, always. It's just like once you're attuned, it's within you, and you just create the strength, which it creates a vortex, which is similar to meditation and breath work and all the things that helps you manifest, which I would love to talk about in a moment. But can I just give everybody a tool from something you said that was awesome with your son? It's so funny you said this because client today, he's talking about somebody who's bugging him and bringing up all these emotions. He's like, oh, it doesn't bug me. And I'm like, okay, your homework is literally to journal 5 minutes a day on everything that you despise about what this person's doing and that bugs you and triggers you. And then we're going to look at where that is within you, because he's just a mirror for you. And
Right.
once we send love to that, we incorporate the shadow. There's not the disintegration. Therefore, you start to love that aspect of yourself instead of shame it and guilt it and whatever and push it away. And then the other person all of a sudden doesn't trigger you with the thing they were doing because it was never them. They're just a mirror for parts of yourself that aren't healed or that have been disowned. And yeah, so that practice for anybody who's triggering any of you in real life, write everything you hate about that person or that is triggering you about that person, and then look at where you're doing those things. Flip it, because it's always about you. And when the moment you take responsibility, the moment I take responsibility for somebody else, something else triggering me, I get my power back in that moment, and that doesn't affect me, and I can do something with that energy instead of giving it to the other person. Because when we're blaming, shaming, getting triggered, getting angry at something else, at somebody else, it's literally drawing our energy, our life force energy that we can use to manifest or for whatever we want out, and then we're depleted.
I'm just briefly interrupting the episode for a kitty-worthy announcement. I am so excited to share that quantum coding community, a vortex where miracles are standard, where we come together in unity to create, to compound our frequency, and to really understand the bridge between the science and the spirituality of the quantum activations that we do in the container. This container is only $38 a month, which is literally insane for the value you are getting. With the masterclass every single month, the quantum activation, if you have tried these, you know how powerful they are. And if you haven't, you're in for a treat. We also have a Voxer community for celebration and community support. And we meet live the third Sunday of every single month at 3 p.m. EST. If you cannot make the live calls, yes, they are recorded, and you will have the recordings for the months that you are a part of the community for lifetime access. Just dream with me for a second. Wouldn't it be fun if you knew how to command your thoughts, for them to become your reality? Wouldn't it be amazing if miracles were a standard part of your life? This is a standard for my clients and I, and this is a standard in the vortex. 2 miracles that happened this week with quantum coding are manifesting winning a piece of quantum technology worth thousands of dollars that I really desired and intended for. And due to frequency, not luck, I was the winner of that. And then facilitating the healing of somebody's spine with scoliosis, which is literally a miracle. I used quantum coding to realign her spine. So this technique and formula that I created after being certified in 13 noteworthy modalities has allowed me to facilitate so many miracles like this. If you have not seen these miracle videos, or if you've not seen the testimonials, I will link them in the show notes. And I am inviting you for this to be your reality, a reality where miracles are a standard, and you are in deep gratitude for the life that you have created and are creating. Greater levels of prosperity, amazing friendships, amazing tribe in the community is the best tribe ever. Phenomenal relationships, dream jobs, and so much more. I see the universe orchestrating everything in your favor. I see days full of synchronicities and miracles for you. And even if you can't see it yet, I see that for you. So if you are feeling excited, because I am so giddy for you, I invite you to join the quantum coding community at only $38 a month for this monthly membership. I'm sending you so much love, so much light. And without further ado, let's go back to the show.
And like,
We're
are
giving
they
it to
really
them.
worth? Pardon?
We're giving them our vital life force.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I thought that was important. Let's talk about manifestation and how neuroscience connects. So we just talked about how when we're giving the life force away, like that's energy taken away from us. When we take it back, we have that life force energy to use to a greater extent for manifestation, for healing. How does neuroscience affect or get correlated with manifestation? Because they really are one and the same.
Yeah, they sure are. You mentioned earlier, like creating the vortex, right? Neuroscience and what it's happening in the brain is with mental rehearsal is that we're seeing that you can arrange the neuro connections in your brain ahead of an experience to look like it's already occurred. And then it has to come to you. They did a study. They did a finger study where they did these weights with finger studies. They did 2 hours a day for 5 days a week. And of course, the people that did the weights, they grew new connections on this side of their brain. Well, they had another set of group of people in the same study that closed their eyes and they mentally rehearsed doing the same thing. And they grew the same amount of connections on their brain. We can literally wire our brain ahead of an experience. That's what neuroscience is showing us.
Yeah. It's so funny because like so that we're ready when the experience comes into a vortex, we can have it because we're an energetic match to it. Otherwise, we can just, it can be right there and we push it away. I would love to tell a story really quick about my sports psychologist in high school with an Olympian. So she was working with an Olympian bobsled. This is before I knew about manifestation, any of this stuff. But I was injured skating and I couldn't rehearse, but I was in like an ice show and I'm like, what do I do? Like freaking out. And she was like, well, just like watch them do the program and rehearse in your mind. And I'm like, yeah, but like by the time my knee's injured, it's going to be the show the next day. She's like, okay, I have a story for you. I was working with an Olympian bobsledder. He was out. He had already qualified for the Olympics, but he couldn't train until literally like a week before the Olympics because of an injury. So they worked together on visualizing him, A, winning, and B, like just all of the things that he needed to do. Like they would visualize him going down the track and it, like, I don't know how to explain this, but like what the muscles would do, and the muscles will like would actually like tweak as if he was literally doing it in reality, but it was just in his mind. He recovered from that injury a week before, had his fastest time, even though he wasn't physically doing, but he was mentally rehearsing, and he won the Olympics that year. Like this, yeah, right? It's so crazy.
People that perform at that level, especially sports athletes, performers, Olympians, they know how to do this already anyway. They're doing it all the time anyway. You know, you can't.
Oh, we lost you. Hello?
Okay, there. Hi. Yeah. So they cannot. You know what? We're used to doing this. And now we're just doing it consciously 100%. For, you know, abundance if you want. Whatever you want. Health.
Exactly. It's the same thing. And you're right. Like, so many athletes are doing this. I was talking to somebody in the NHL the other day, and he like sports psychology is one. They all have a sports psychologist who they work with quite often, and they're mentally rehearsing the game and the things that they're going to shift and do different and do the same. And like the power of that is crazy. like literally insane. He said it's the most powerful part of the training is actually not on the field, not on the ice. It's in the mind, working with a sports psychologist and rehearsing these things, because then it translates into the game. And it's no different in manifesting, like you said, like abundance or whatever, health, wealth. Let's share, if you're down, have you ever seen things in meditations and then they came true?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite story?
It was a romantic encounter. It was like during the pineal gland meditation. It
I've
just came
had
to
those
me
too.
this scene of like, I thought, oh wow, wouldn't that be nice? And then you know what? I just stayed. I kind of forgot about it. You know what? How you do? You forget about it and stay out of the way.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
let it flow. And oh my god. So, you know, what about you? I don't want to get details on that one. I'll think of a less explicit one if you want details.
Okay.
But
I'll go while you think.
please.
It's so funny because I've had several of those too. I'm like, I just know it's gonna happen, and it did. I learned to always ask now, like, things in my highest good instead of like what I think I want or like what comes. But yeah, were you in Orlando? Hi, Marianne. Mama Morris. She studied shamanism with me. Were you in Orlando I guess it was just over a year ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't that one. Sorry, I lied. It was the follow-up right before I met you. So I wanted to be at this retreat. It was in Marco Island. It was sold out. I told you the story, part of it, the other day. It was sold out, 3,000 person wait list. You know how it goes. They sell it in 5 minutes. It was a Dr. Joe retreat as well. And it came to me in like a download. It was like, you should be there. Like, it would be really good for you to be there. So I'm like, okay, like, I know how to manifest at this point. So I do 2 meditations. I think the changing box one, and then I did my own manifestation meditation. Felt myself there, saw myself, whatever. And then nothing happened from those. And I decided I needed to leave the country for a bit. So I booked a trip to Costa Rica with my dog, no return ticket. And literally 4 days before I was supposed to leave, 3 people who didn't know each other and didn't know I was trying to manifest that. And thank goodness I ended up manifesting it, because that's where I healed my eye when I almost went blind, which was another like initiation and synchronicity and serendipity of this all working out, because that I think is why Source was like, it'd be really good for you to be there. Thank goodness. Thank you. So I get a call from a friend in Singapore, and she's like, I'm going to Fort Lauderdale. Like, do you want to come? I have an extra room for a month. Do you want to come stay? Which is like 45 minutes from Marco Island. I'm like, this is like, that's awesome. I really want to go back to Florida. I actually want to do a retreat there. And I can't. I'm going to Costa Rica. 20 minutes later, somebody else messages me on WhatsApp, who I knew from another Dr. Joe retreat. And she's like, I got a room at the Marco Island Dr. Joe retreat, but I don't have a ticket. Do you want to just show up and we'll like share the room? I'm like, that's super cool. So happy for you. I really want to go to that retreat. It's sold out. The wait list is 3,000 people. Like, I don't want to show up and not get in. And even though I'd already manifested one and jumped the wait list, but that's another story.
Hello, beautiful souls. If you are interested in learning more about manifestation, quantum physics, and how to actually become an energetic match to your intentions, then you are in luck, because I have put together a fundamentals manifestation course called Manifestation Fundamentals and Symbol Magic. This is about a 7.5-hour course with a quantum activation to create a manifestation in whatever vein or area of life that you desire, as well as the core principles of manifestation, quantum physics, the science behind it, the understanding, and many more tools to get you started on this path. Many of you know of the Manifest Key Portal, which is my signature course, which is over 20 hours now of amazing manifestation transmissions, content, formula activations. This is a great start if you are not ready to invest in the Manifest Key portal, which is only open once or twice a year anyways. And the best part is that you get 50% off if you're listening to this episode. The discount code will be below, as well as that amount the next time I open the Manifest Key portal that you've invested into manifestation fundamentals can be used towards the Manifest Key portal as a discount code. So I'm going to link everything below, and without further ado, let's get back to the show.
Anyways, so I just, doubt again came in. I'm like, I'm going to Costa Rica. I wasn't going to cancel my trip at this point. And then 10 minutes later, someone else messages me and was like, I have something to jump the wait list. I won't say what it was, but do you want to go and rent an Airbnb together? And I was like, okay. At this point, I need to surrender. So I changed my whole plans from Costa Rica. I was like, well, my friend just manifested a room, so let's all stay together as long as she can get the thing to get us in as well. So anyways, we all I made sure I was fully registered and paid before I changed my trip from Costa Rica, and ended up at the retreat, and then healed my eye from very potentially going blind.
Everything just aligned perfectly for you, didn't it?
It freaking aligned perfectly. And it was so interesting because I let it go. I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm not as good a manifestor as I thought. I did two, usually if something feels really in alignment and I'm like, okay, I do one really intense meditation, they're deep and they're an hour, 2 hours sometimes. They usually happen if they're meant to happen. And then nothing was happening for 3 weeks. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm leaving. And then it all came together in the weirdest way that I could have never anticipated, which is another key. We have to surrender to the way the universe is going to conspire in our favor, because it always conspires in our favor if we believe it will. And it did. And It has so many. But that one's a really...
The key there, Jill, I'm saying, is that you held the vision of you being at the event, right? But you didn't worry about how it was going to be. You let that go. That's the fine line between intention.
100%. I had no idea, and I wasn't attached to it. I was like, okay, well, if this doesn't happen, I guess it's not in my greatest good, because by this point I realized to ask for things in my greatest good. And if they aren't, then they just don't happen. But usually if it's a really strong download, it happens. Yeah, so that's one of my favorites.
So good. I love
have you thought of another favorite that you can share? Or
no. My favorite manifestations, I'm manifesting every moment, all of this.
We are. We're always manifesting. Yeah. Whether it's conscious or unconscious. Hopefully it's conscious.
Absolutely.
We're all good.
That did remind me, though, I wanted to talk about one of the key steps that most people forget. I know what time it is.
Yeah.
The first step. Okay, so we were talking earlier about how you can use mental rehearsal in a meditation to rewrite your brain as well as your mental programming, subconscious programming. But I want to add in, before that step, what is so key is identifying the aspects of our old self that we no longer want. So if we're using abundance as an example, we need to write down these limiting beliefs. I can't afford it, or that's expensive, or money is dirty, or money is evil. Yeah. And when we have these thoughts, we have to stop them. And we have several tools that we teach. I change. Just yell change at yourself. And sometimes I feel that energy come right out of me. And that thought literally prunes away in the brain. Just like you can build new connections, nerve cells that fire together, wire together. Nerve cells that no longer fire together, no longer wire together. So the moment that you disconnect that, Hebb's law states that that thought no longer exists for you. It's literally disconnected in your brain. So if we're going to create an abundant person, Jill, we have to uncreate the person that lives in lack and survival first.
Yes.
Right.
synchronistic you're talking about this, because I've been doing a lot of work around abundance. I'm actually creating a 4-week container and course around specific abundance, because it's like, that's it. You can't just say, I am wealthy, I am abundant, when your body is like, I'm not. Or, oh, if I allow this amount of money and abundance to come in, tax guy's going to come after me, or people are going to judge me, or money is bad, because we've been programmed when we're young, especially, like a whole lives, but it starts when we're 0 to 7 is like the most potent. So whatever beliefs we took in of, oh, money's bad, rich people are evil, like all these beliefs that aren't serving us, nor are they serving humanity, in my belief, because if we're operating from a place of scarcity and lack, we can't be of service to the world, because we're not grounded, we are not taking care of ourselves, therefore we are trying to serve from an empty cup, which is of no service to anybody. So I believe abundance is actually amazing and can provide support for us to be more of service and to bring abundance to more people. That being said, a year ago, I was not thinking that way. And I can tell you, I kept manifesting situations where money was just like going out, going out, going out. And I'm like, how am I going to bring it in? And the more I like shifted and released, like one of my main clients, I shifted a belief that it was a specific one about abundance with clients, my worthiness, because I knew I was creating shifts in people's lives with my work, but I had this like, oh, like I feel weird charging for this work because, or for the level that the shifts are happening in their life, because like this work should be free. But like, yo, if I can't eat like good organic food and like take care of myself, like, and drink good water and all the things that I need to nourish myself, I'm not going to be able to serve sustainably other people and help other people. And I uncovered a belief. This is what it was, that I would be punished, physically punished. This came from like a trauma when I was younger, which I won't get into, but it wasn't the trauma or the thing that happened. It was the belief that I wrote. I will be physically punished if I create X amount of wealth. And when I shifted that, I literally like met the next day one of my main clients in Shoppers Drug Mart, which is like CVS for you. It's a drugstore, and he was going to come to an event and it didn't happen. So I gave him one session and he was like, I want your biggest package. And then a few weeks later we did it because I was like booked until then. But this is how it works. Like whether it's financial or relationships or friendships, it's like, again, with friendships, I was like, oh, there's no like people who understand me here in Vancouver, like need to go back to Florida. And then I realized I'm creating this reality with my belief, rewrote it, and like, boom, fucking met like amazing people here who totally got me. Who
yes,
like,
incredible.
God, you know?
Way to go. Good job on rewriting that belief. How long ago did you do that? Because you've been there for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah, like probably a month ago.
Oh, that's
And
super recent.
Pretty much all my clients too that I met already like believe this stuff. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I'm just drawing in people that I don't need to explain. And that was another thing. Oh, another shift. I was like, I'm not explaining this to people. I shouldn't say not explaining, because I will like articulate the shifts and like how things work sometimes if it's of benefit. But I said, I'm not here to convince anybody to work with me. Like, I'm done that. That's not the new gel that I'm stepping into. That's not being of service. It's an energy drain. And it's just like not me and my highest timeline and creating the highest value I can for the world. And like everyone after that, like all the people that were like, convince me to work with you, like tone, not saying they were saying that, but that was what was coming across, just like fell away. And then like all these other great ones who like already knew the power of this work but just needed the extra support just showed up. Like they just showed up.
And that happened as soon as you identified that limiting belief, that belief that you would be physically harmed. Now, how did you find that out?
I was doing pressure point work, and I was going in. I basically asked for guidance from like source, the divine, whatever you want to call it. And I asked, like, please show me the memories of that are and the samskaras, the traumas that are holding me back from my next level of abundance and service. And I knew I had a lot of fear around finances, even though, like, I know cognitively, like, I'll always be fine. Like, worst case, like, I go back and live with my parents. I'm not creating that reality, but, like, absolute worst case, which is not going to happen, by the way.
I am back. I just wanted to give you a little bit more context about what the quantum coding community is. So it is a powerful vortex where you sit back and I use my gifts and my own unique process of quantum coding to code your energetic body to higher frequencies. Now, each month, these frequencies compound. The frequencies that, say, are encoded in your DNA and energy body in January will then recalibrate your whole body by the next month. That will compound with the ones on top. Our frequency is our currency. So as you become encoded to higher frequencies, you'll manifest more wealth, greater health, phenomenal relationships. Have you been looking for your soulmate? These frequencies will literally allow you to become an energetic match to your dream partner with more ease. And you will seemingly have become, quote unquote, lucky. But we know it's not luck, it's frequency, which literally creates miracles. So one more time, I am inviting you to Quantum Coding Community at only $38 a month, which is literally insane because people pay high 4 figures, sometimes 5 figures for containers of this standard. And this time is so crucial for us to all rise into greater frequencies. So this is my offering to you so that you can come heal to thrive, up level, and create your dream life. The link is in the show notes, and without further ado, let's go back to the show.
But, like, I know I'm not going to end up on the streets. I literally traveled for 6 months and manifested. One day I was homeless, and then I manifested this, like, freaking amazing temple mansion to look after and feed the fish while they were gone to, like, a crypto conference. Like, within an hour. Like, all of these things, like, I know no matter what, I am okay. But, yeah, I asked for guidance, and actually what came up were, it was like, okay, you need to start, like, I just didn't want to look at my bank account. I didn't want to look at my investments, which are, like, way down right now. But kind of funny because I'm like, oh, I'm okay. I can just manifest more if I need to. And then I got called to my wrist, and I was doing pressure point stuff on my wrist, which is when I broke it a few years ago. And one memory that came up was my mom. Okay, there was a memory and a belief too that I was stupid. So therefore, if I'm stupid, I can't step in because I'm not worthy. And yeah, a memory came back from after I broke it, and someone in my family called me stupid for not wearing wrist guards rollerblading. And so I had to unresolve that, rewrite that, and then what came after was a memory. I don't want to say what happened for privacy reasons, but a memory that basically I was like, because of this, money is bad, wealth is bad, and if I have it, I am bad and evil. And when I saw that, I remembered what happened. It was a very intense moment, and I shrieked. I was 13 or 14, and it was so painful when this thing happened. And the memory kept coming back, like in meditation when I was just walking, but I couldn't identify the belief that I wrote when that happened. And it was actually after my meditation. So it wasn't in a meditation. I was walking, and it was like, boom, like, the message was so strong. You are afraid of creating wealth because you think you will be punished. And what also happened, now that I'm realizing it, is I had tuned into like my womb and my solar plexus where I had a lot of pain and there was like tightness. And the memory was associated with that. And then the belief was tied in to the memory because I wrote that belief in that moment because somebody did something and said something to me who I really admired and cared about, not knowing. It was like we were in an argument. It was not like they were trying to put this belief or this whatever on me in the moment. That was the belief I wrote, due to what happened when they were not pleased or very angry at me, or at the situation. And yeah, it was like everywhere in my life. And then now, like when I look at my investments and they're down, it's like, oh, Canada's like going into recession. Like it's a totally different experience. Before I was having an anxiety, like literally anxiety attacks. And yeah, so I don't know if that answered your question. It was a lot of beliefs, and it's been like there's still more unraveling to do for sure, but it came through like a few weeks of just, I'm like, okay, now is time to focus on this specific thought pattern, these specific feelings that I'm clearly avoiding. And it was interesting because I just incorporated my business and this was all tied into it as well. I was like, oh, I can't incorporate. Oh, it's so complicated. And of course the system was down every time I went to do it. My printer wasn't working for like the proper forms. Like all of these things were happening. And then when I started to unravel and resolve it, it was like, oh, and the reason is too, because I know like I want to make X amount. I wanted to make X amount when I was incorporated and keep a certain amount in the bank so I didn't get charged, but like I would have to create that amount of wealth in my business in order to do that. And
But
if
you
I think
spent some time you spent some time identifying that aspect of the old self that you no longer wanted. And then as soon as you noticed it in your body, your reality shifted and that energy freed itself from your body. And then you used it to create a new reality of community of people that are like-minded. It happens in an instant. I love their stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah.
The energy rewrites the neural pathways in your brain. If your belief, the power of that belief is strong enough, it will literally rewire the brain in a moment. That's 100%. All it takes. And that's all a memory is. A memory is embossed by a strong emotion. And the stronger the emotion, the deeper that memory is embossed into the brain.
Yeah.
So we can use that to our advantage too when we're doing our mental rehearsal. Send it so much love and gratitude that it's just deep in the brain.
Yes.
Like
100%.
Get this going. And another thing is you mentioned vortex. So in quantum physics, that's another thing that I just really love. Like our heart is the center of this vortex, right? And one of the things that we can do is move some of that energy from our body up into our brain to increase our magnetic field. Most people have 5% of their energy in their brain, 95% of the energy in the body. What this means is that most people are stuck and tense. You know what? We can free all of that with meditation, breath work. And the thing is that once we return energy to the brain, our magnetic field stabilizes. And if thoughts send the signal out, thoughts are the electrical charge in the quantum. And our feelings draw the experience to us. Our feelings are the magnetic charge in the quantum. By doing this breath work, we're literally increasing our electromagnetic field, or like our vortex is getting bigger and stronger. And if that's not what makes us powerful creators, I mean, sign me up. I want the biggest field ever. Don't you? Isn't that what, like, I'm going to sign up for every little thing I can do to increase the size and strength of this vortex, right? And it's all about our heart. How open is your heart? Yeah.
And a lot of the time it's like these beliefs, like you said, or our old self is keeping our heart closed. So like I love how you brought that up, because I think that's a point that a lot of people miss sometimes. Is like they're trying to manifest, they're trying to heal or whatever, but they haven't like it even happens in chronic illnesses. I see it's like their belief is like identified, their old self, their belief, their energy body is identified with the illness. So they're not going to heal until they realize, oh, okay, I'm staying ill because I believe people will come and save me if I'm ill, and without the illness, I don't know who I am. Therefore, I cannot become healthy. And then you realize that and you release it. And then you create the reality, which is another possibility, where you are healthy. And then you become, and you release the attachment to it. And it's the moment that you feel so healthy. I mean, you've seen spontaneous healings. You feel so healthy. You're not attached to it. Your physical body may be still ill. And then boom, healing happens.
Boom, healing happens. Or boom, you get that call from that person with that job offer. Or like you run into your perfect client at the grocery store.
Yeah.
It's the possibilities are limitless.
Literally limitless. And we limit ourselves in our mind so much. I was going to say something about the breaking the habit of being yourself and identifying these beliefs. What is your biggest, when you identify a belief and you realize you're being held back because of that belief, and then you notice the belief of, what's a belief you've had in the past that you shifted?
Judgment was the biggest one for me. Oh yeah,
okay.
All the time. All day, every day. Notice I judge other people and myself. And
okay, beautiful.
Like, this person's dumb, they should be doing that better. I can't believe you're doing like this, blah, 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 blah. That person's better than me, or I'm better than that person. Like, competition and judgment go hand in hand. So that was another key thing, is once you really hone in on like one of those emotions that you want to change, you'll start to see that, there's a lot of others that are connected in there.
A lot. So is your favorite thing to do when you want to shift one of them? Is it to say the switch, like he talks about in the book?
Yeah. Or stop it is good. Stop it and change are two that I teach, that he teaches, that we can teach. Yes.
Yeah.
And those are so powerful. I love that stuff. It's made a difference in my daily life. Especially, my kids are like, who is this person that's responding totally different than I would have expected? I'm going to now treat them differently because I've risen to a new standard of their expectations. So they're going to be forced to give me something new. And that happens to everybody in your life when you hold to a vision that's bigger than yourself, especially.
100%. It's like so much of the time we give away our power as people. It's like they need to change. The only way that they're ever going to change in your presence is if you change. And when people start to understand this, it's like, oh my goodness, they were literally responding to my energy. I even had this with a family member. I was like scared shitless to call them about something. And like my body's freaking, and then I was like, okay, shift. So did my energy work, breath work, whatever. And was like, okay, I am okay. And then I called them from a different, like a very grounded energy. And the conversation went way different than I expected, and way different than it has pretty much every time I've had a conversation in any sort of vein that this conversation was with this person. I was like, whoa, it was me the whole time. They were literally just responding to my energy. And when I came in grounded and okay within myself, no matter what came of the conversation, it was like super chill and easy, instead of like, like they're going to freak out and my body, like I feel like I'm going to die in my body. I'm not safe and all of these things. Of course, they're going to like make me feel like I'm unsafe because I'm manifesting that with my energy body and calling it in. But if I'm grounded, I'm safe no matter what. And I'm in my power and I know I'm going to be okay, regardless of what happens in this conversation. Usually the conversation is like, or the interaction with that person is like it's going to be a reflection of where my energy is.
And it always is. That's such a good example. Every moment is a reflection of our energy.
100%.
Wow,
100%.
Something cool to think about. I know.
And we have the ability to shift it.
We did.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to
feel
say,
like
we have 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes.
Oh, I have 2 minutes. Yes,
Yeah.
I have 2 minutes. I had to plug my phone in, so I'm sitting on the ground beside my Reiki table. That's why if you guys are wondering why there's a sheep beside me. Okay, last 2 minutes. What do you want to talk about? Do you have a favorite story? What's coming through?
We just have such an opportunity. You know what, Jill?
Yeah.
This is the time of information. We're so blessed to be able to communicate in this way and share in community.
Yeah.
So it's not a time to just know how. It's a time to put it into action. You know what?
100%.
It's like for me and you, I know as you've stated, you've just now started putting some of these things into practice, and it is a never-ending process of self-discovery and personal growth.
Yeah.
There's no end ever
100%.
for anyone.
And it's like I've been doing this work for years now, and like the things that it's never ending, guys. And the more you practice, the easier it gets, the easier your life gets, the more beautiful your experience of life gets, and the more you can manifest. And it's like, if there's something that you really want to shift and you have a lot of resistance, it's probably going to be the biggest shifts, because my biggest shifts have been in the last year for sure. And it's when I went the deepest into the shadows. Instead of just trying to manifest or like learning to manifest, it was like, okay, this thing that I really don't want to look at and I can't look at, and I'm doing everything, keeping myself busy, like going out, like overbooking myself, whatever, to not feel this thing. That's the thing that you need to go into, where the biggest breakthroughs are going to happen. And I wish I went, especially into the financial stuff, like years ago, like, or not even financial, but abundance, like abundance in all forms. Like whenever I used to freak out about, oh, like, where's my next client going to come from? Like when I rewrote beliefs, they just showed up. And had I done that years ago, like, holy man. And I wasn't ready. So I love that, Jill, that wasn't ready. That had to take it piece by piece by piece by piece. But now it's like, okay, let's go. Oh, trigger. Oh, let's go into this, instead of like, you know?
Gotta lean forward into it. That's good. Very important.
Yeah. Okay, well, I gotta go in a minute here.
So good to see you, Jill.
It was so good to see you. Let's do another one soon. Guys, if you want to learn some of this work, Dr. James, especially like energy work, just getting into it, Reiki is like the first amazing step that I took, at least. He has a course, and like go to his page. It's literally like at a price you will never ever ever find for right now, and it's going up, and it is life-changing.
It's going up tomorrow. It's going up
tomorrow.
The price is tripling tomorrow.
It's tripling tomorrow, and you will never find a Reiki course at this price ever, like ever. And what?
Thanks, Jill. You're
welcome.
awesome. I love you. Thank you so much.
You're awesome. I love you too. I'm so excited to do more of these. Okay, blessings. Mwah. Have a good rest of your day. Say hi to the fam.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with anyone and everyone that you think would benefit from it. Share it on your social media and tag me at Jill Alana Nixon so I can hear what breakthroughs and insights you got. If you really enjoyed this, I would really appreciate if you wrote a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you do this and you email my team, JillAlanaNixon@gmail.com, we'll link it in the show notes, I will send you a cord-cutting transmission that is only available through this avenue, so that you can clear out people, places, habits, or situations that are no longer in alignment with your highest good, and to call back your power. Thank you so much, and have the most beautiful, blessed day.